Hey, I'm Adam. We do daily devotionals for busy Christians. It's February 21st, so let's cannonball right into this thing. Today we're talking about the radical call of Christ's love. Loving your enemies isn't a suggestion. It's a command straight from the lips of Jesus. But let's be honest, it's one of the hardest commands to follow. Loving those who have wronged us, hurt us, or even betrayed us feels unnatural. Everything in us wants us to push back, to defend ourselves, to protect our hearts from further pain. Yet Jesus calls us higher. His love isn't limited to those who love him back. His grace extends to those who spit in his face, who mocked him, who nailed him to a cross. And he asks us to follow his example. Why does this matter? Because nothing sets Christians apart more than radical love. It's super easy for us to love those who are kind to us, but supernatural love, the kind that Jesus embodies, goes beyond human ability. It's a love that defies logic, that transforms hearts, and that shakes the very foundations of hatred. This is the love that we're called to. The world doesn't understand this kind of love. Our culture, it promotes self-protection, retaliation, and even justified hatred. But Jesus teaches that love is the higher way, the divine way, the only way that truly breaks the cycle of darkness. Choosing love over vengeance requires faith. It means trusting that God sees, that he is just, and that he calls us to something greater than human retaliation. Are you ready to answer? Can you take the first step towards radical love? The power of prayer for our enemies. Jesus spoke these words in the Sermon on the Mount, addressing a culture that understood retaliation as justice. Quote, "An eye for an eye," end quote, was the accepted standard. Jesus flipped this. He introduced a new way of living, not based on revenge, but on redemption. The Greek word for love used here is agape, a selflessness, unconditional love that seeks the good of others, even when they don't deserve it. This isn't about feelings, it's about choice. To love our enemies is to actively seek their good, to pray for them, and to release bitterness from our hearts. On the cross, in his most painful moment, Jesus uttered, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." If even there was a moment to call down righteous fire, that was it. Yet Jesus chose mercy. If we're followers of Christ, our calling is clear. We must reflect the same love. But let's acknowledge the struggle. Praying for someone who has deeply hurt us isn't easy. It's never going to be. It goes against every instinct, against every desire for fairness and justice. But prayer has power. When we pray for our enemies, we surrender them into God's hands. We acknowledge that he alone is the righteous judge. And then something remarkable happens. We begin to change. Hatred loses its grip. Bitterness begins to fade away. And our hearts are transformed by the same love that Jesus demonstrated on the cross. Let me ask you, who in your life right now do you need to pray for? Are you willing to trust God with the outcome? Living out this love in daily life. Romans 12:20 tells us, quote, "If your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink," end quote. This isn't about passivity. It's about actively choosing kindness over vengeance. Forgiveness is not about excusing the wrong. It's about releasing the hold that resentment has over you. Unforgiveness is a prison where you hold the key. It's easy to just set yourself free. Loving your enemies isn't about letting them continue to harm you. It's about breaking the cycle of hatred with the goodness of God. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can. Jesus never said love was just a feeling. Love is a choice. It's an action. It is in stepping forward with grace, even when everything in you wants to step back in anger. But let's be clear. Loving your enemy does not mean allowing abuse. It doesn't mean tolerating injustice. It means responding in a way that honors Christ and doesn't allow hatred to consume your heart. Sometimes love looks like setting boundaries. Sometimes love means walking away while still choosing to pray for that person. And sometimes love is the simple act of refusing to let resentment define your life. When we choose to love our enemies, we display the radical grace of God. We become living testimonies of the gospel, showing the world a love that isn't bound by human logic, but fueled by divine power. Who in your life needs this love today? What step can you take right now to live out this command? And will you be bold enough to extend it? Hey, thanks so much for being here. My name's Adam. As always, my friends, onward, and God bless you.